We have a full schedule today, and I want to just mention that they say that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, and that I was told that there is a film festival sort of inspired by Ebertfest in Canada now. It's the Milton Film Festival. Hi, oh, there they are. And they are showing some movies from here, and they're trying to bring a little bit of that spirit to Milton, and maybe I'll get there one day to your festival, so thank you. There's also a festival, I just want to say hello to the representatives from the Hardacre Film Theater and Festival in Iowa, because on RogerEbert.com, they asked if we would help. They were trying to save their theaters similarly to the way that our theater was being saved. And they had, I think it was either a Kickstarter or Indiegogo campaign, and they were doing all kind of fundraising, and they asked if we would help publicize it to get just that little bit kick to get them over and raise their funds. And I'm happy to say that we did. So Hardacre in Iowa will continue. And now they're trying to raise funds in order to do some renovation, but at least they are committed to showing high quality art films. The other thing is we will have, they asked if I would sign a few more books today, and so after this film, I will sign more Life Itself, because yesterday I didn't get a chance to there were other people who wanted books signed, and I didn't get a chance to finish. So after this film, we'll go into the East Lobby, and I'll sign more Life Itself books. Now for our program. This is another film that I am, I could say that about any film that we have here, because between Roger and Nate and I, we chose all of them, so I'm happy to have all of them here. But this one has something really personal, because it's about a caretaker. And I think that Roger related to this film in a certain way because of his experience in the last 7 years of his life, where we had live-in caregivers living with us 24/7. And so it was the quality of the film that he really related to, but on a personal level, it was also the story of caregiving. So this film is one that, just has the emotional heft, even though it's quiet and beautiful, but it's also very personal. And the person who will describe it better than I will is David Bordwell, who's been here many years. And I want to just tell you, for those of you who are new, because there are some people here for the first time, and I want you to know about David Bordwell. He's retired from teaching at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. He has written several books on film aesthetics and history, most recently, Poetics of Cinema, Planet Hong Kong, Popular Cinema and the Art of Entertainment, and Pandora's Digital Box, Films, Files, and the Future of Movies. That was 2012. He and Christian Thompson, who collaborated on Film Art and Introduction, the 10th edition, 2012, write about film regularly at davidbordwell.net/blog. And one of the things that I really took notice of, there was something sort of a viral campaign that went around, not a campaign, but it was actually something started by our own Matt Zollernseis. Well, it wasn't started by him, but he made it incendiary, where he talked about how film critics should actually talk about something other of the cinematic qualities of the filmmaking and not just the plot and things like that. And so it started this big discussion on the web on people both within the film critic community and also outside. And the thing I noticed in those comments, whenever people said, well, you know, some film critics can't do that well, they haven't been filmmakers, or they don't know, or who wants to read that, it's going to be boring, or whatever. I noticed the one name that came up regularly when they said, well, unless you're David Bordwell, who can do that well, or who can talk about that, David Bordwell and Christian Thompson. David Bordwell does know this. David Bordwell does know that. And you know what? That is our own very David Bordwell, and let's welcome him to the stage.
Thanks, that's a great introduction. I'm sort of doing duty back to back here today. Pardon me, my allergies have kicked up. So we'll have two films, and I have a quotation I think that's applicable to both films. So I'm just going to read it as a kind of umbrella or portmanteau for the two movies we'll be seeing side by side. It's a quote from one of Roger's contemporaries, or rough contemporaries, another critic, Richard Schickel, who wrote for Time magazine and appears in a lot of other venues, as well as making documentary films about filmmakers. And Schickel wrote this in a book of his memoirs, which is well worth reading as well. It's called Good Morning, Mr. Zip, Zip, Zip. And here's what he wrote. And I'm arguing that this applies to the two films we'll be seeing this afternoon. Mortality is the only worthwhile subject, the mystery beside which all others pale, the goad which renders all others paltry, the distinguished thing we seek to elude by distinguishing ourselves and leaving something tangible and admirable behind. I think this resonates with both of the films we'll be seeing, and I hope we can keep that in mind as we see them. Our first piece is an extraordinary movie from Hong Kong, and I'm here partly to say a little bit about why it's extraordinary. I think you'll find it that way, and certainly Roger found it that way, but it's exceptional in ways that maybe aren't initially apparent. Because as I think you know, Hong Kong cinema is a genre-based cinema, and especially genres of action, violence, cop movies, crime thrillers, swordplay films, kung fu films, things like that. And that's a great tradition in Hong Kong film. It's added immensely to world film culture by exploring those genres. But this film isn't like that at all. This is an exceptional film for Hong Kong, to come out of Hong Kong. There's almost no physical action. There's no violence. There's no villain. In fact, there's almost no conflict. It's a very daring departure for Hong Kong movies. I guess you could call it a mood piece or an exploration of feelings. There is a drama, let's put it that way. But it's a drama of such subtlety and nuance that most popular entertainment tends to shy away from that direction. In a way, it's not a surprise that it's got these qualities, because it's made by one of Hong Kong's most unusual filmmakers. An Hoi An Wah, who'll be joining us after the film, has been making feature films since 1979. And she's made over 24 feature films, as well as many television episodes, and made many contributions to other people's feature films. She's the first and still most prominent woman director in Hong Kong, a very difficult industry to be a woman director in. And she's made several major works that have been really acknowledged around the world in many festivals, as well as in popular audiences as well. Her two most famous films are about Vietnamese refugees, the 1970s and early 80s. The first one is called The Story of Wu Viet, which gave the great Chow Yun-fat his first really major starring role in a film, and a film that won acclaim all over the world called Boat People, about the people who had fled Vietnam but were being kept in internment camps in Hong Kong while various national governments tried to decide what to do with them. Anne's made many other films, and they're films of extraordinary delicacy. I'd urge you to try to check them out on DVD. A film like Song of the Exile, and a film especially like Summer Snow or July Rhapsody. She's also done genre work. I shouldn't short shrift her there. She made a couple of swordplay films, very good ones, called Romance of Book and Sword and Princess Fragrance. And she made an an action picture called Akam Stunt Woman, starring Michelle Yeoh. Um, Now she's just recently completed a major film called The Golden Era with Tang Wei. If you saw Lust Caution, she was the star of that film, and she's in this major historical drama based on Eileen Chang's story that Anne is now just finishing up. One thread in her career, in this tapestry of her career, I guess you'd say, um, she likes to look at social problems as they affect individuals in very intimate ways. So they aren't large-scale denunciations or manifestos, but they are looking at the effects of certain social problems and policies on very concrete situations, on personal level. So for instance, she made a film about spousal abuse called Night and Fog. She made a film about an Alzheimer's victim. That's Summer Snow. And she made that film well before, I think, Alzheimer's became such a common topic of discussion as it is today. Same thing with today's film, as Chaz has previewed. This is a film really about end-of-life issues. She excels, as you can imagine, then in intimate drama, and Simple Life, of course, is one of her finest. It's a drama of ordinary life, where the crises are created by the ordinary happenings of life. Working, aging, illness. To me, it reminds me of Ozu, and how Ozu builds a very intense and poignant drama out of really just the daily incidents that occur to us. Or Chekhov, if you like. Oh yes, one other daily incident, eating. Hong Kong movies are often about eating, and this movie is really about eating, among other things. It's almost a documentary too. It's almost a documentary on how a society tries to care for its aged and its infirm. The players, I'll just mention finally. Deanie Ip, we can talk about her. She's the actress centered in the film. We can talk about her during the Q&A. She's had an interesting career. She began as a pop singer, and she's Anne's age, and by the way, my age. So they've kind of grown old together. Andy Lau is worth mentioning. Andy Lau Tak Wah is the biggest star in Hong Kong. He's George Clooney, essentially. And he ages even better, if you can imagine that. For him to appear in a small, domestic, intimate tale like this is a big deal. It's a big, big deal. He's normally in dramas, comedies, action pictures. For him to invest so much in this is really a testimony to his extraordinary faith in Anne. You'll also see, and this is maybe in jokes, a lot of other Hong Kong filmmakers in this film. Cameos, if you know who Sammo Hung is, or Choi Hak is, or Clifton Coe, or some of these others, they pop in and out of the movie. They're justified by being there because of the part of the action takes place in a movie-making milieu, but nevertheless, it adds a little extra spice to the movie, and also to me is a kind of tribute to Anne Hui, because these are filmmakers who are mostly her contemporaries, and they honor her by being in a film that's very, very different from the kind of movies they make themselves. So, good film, and see you afterwards for conversation. Thank you.